What's up everybody and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, we will be talking about what went down on Monday Night Raw and Friday Night Smackdown from bell to bell in the squared circle. You guys, please bear with me in this video. I am just getting over a cold and I am feeling better than I have in the last week or so, but you will hear a little every now and then. Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first noteworthy thing we really have that happens is Gunther declares his entry into the Royal Rumble. Side note, before we get into it, do you guys remember when WWE used to do the Royal Rumble lottery pick style? Totally random thought, my bad. Personally, I have not been a huge fan of the presentation of Gunther since he beat John Cena. To me, it has been extremely one note and it has been repetitive to say the least. Because how many times can you say, I made John Cena tap out like a little before we get tired of hearing the same thing over and over again? So AJ Styles issues a challenge to Gunther to have his rematch with him at the Royal Rumble. But Gunther only accepts this request if AJ agrees to put his career on the line. And a part of me is glad that we're running this match back, because the first time they fought each other on Monday Night Raw, it was so weird. First, I have to say the match itself felt like it needed to be on a PLE. But I will not harp on that too much because I'm one of the people that constantly brings up the fact that I remember when I used to watch wrestling and we used to see main event level talent go against each other just on a regular episode. Like you could catch John Cena versus Shawn Michaels or Undertaker versus Randy Orton on a random Monday Night Raw and Friday Night Smackdown. So when they actually do it, I'm gonna give them their props. But the way the match ended made no sense to me. You mean to tell me AJ Styles breaks the hold before hearing the bell ring? I don't buy that for a minute. Now AJ Styles has revealed that he will be retiring in 2026, but there has been no specifics around that. We don't know the date, we don't know the time, we don't know nothing. But it's a no for me. I really hope that's not the route that they're planning on going down for real. Because if I'm being completely honest, Gunther's character does not feel impactful enough to end the career of an AJ Styles. Next up on Raw was Maxine Dupree versus Becky Lynch for the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship. And a little bit of a rant coming, not gonna lie. So if you follow me on TikTok, then you already know that I have advocated for Natalya heavy. I want the low-key legend on the main roster badly, because Natalya is extremely underrated. And since this is my first wrestling video, let me give you guys a little bit of information about me. I am a Divas era girl. I grew up watching the Divas and I will forever stand the Divas. All right, go ahead, complain, hate all you want, I don't care. Everybody has their opinions about the Divas era. Hell, everybody has some negative to say about the Divas era nowadays. But one thing that people just simply cannot deny is that there was some real talent that came out of that era, and Natalya is one of them. And I also have been enjoying Maxine Dupree too, and I honestly love the whole story between her and Natty altogether. From going to mentee and mentor to enemies. And I love seeing heel Natty because I feel like it's something that we rarely get to see, especially as of late. It's like taking it back to the days with her and Beth Phoenix and the Divas of Doom, Pin Up Strong. And it's the fact that she interferes in the match so blatantly, like right in front of Maxine's face, like, yeah, I want you to see that I did this. Yeah, I want you to see because you lost because of me. And the beatdown that she gave Maxine, like, talk about making a statement. And it's definitely a departure from the Natalya that we've been seeing. And overall, I'm excited for Natty to really get in her bag and show people how diverse she really is. Next, we have a quick segment between the Judgment Day, basically just laying out their goals for the group. Of course, we have Raquel Rodriguez going for the Women's World Championship. We have Liv and Roxy going for the Women's Tag Team Championships. And later on that night, Finn Balor would have his match with CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. I have been wanting to see more powerhouse representation, specifically on Monday Night Raw, because I feel like all of the powerhouses are on SmackDown. Like, besides Rhea Ripley, it's literally just Rhea and Raquel that's coming to my mind. You have Lash, Nia, Jade, and that's it. Unless I'm forgetting somebody, but I don't think I am. And I honestly just love the shift that Raquel Rodriguez's character is taking. Even when you look at her in that triple threat match with Nikki Bella and Stephanie Becerra. You know, the Judgment Day is known for shenanigans. They're known for, okay, if we can come out and help our teammate and help them win a championship, we're gonna do it by any means necessary. Raquel even turns to them and says, no, I don't need that. I got this. And I love that attitude. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoy watching Stephanie Becerra in the ring, but I do believe that Raquel Rodriguez would be just as good as a champ, if not better. Then this would lead us into a trios tag match between The Vision and Penta, Dragon Lee, and Rey Mysterio. I think it's really important to have The Vision or the members outside of Braun Breaker in The Vision kind of branch out and do their own thing. I think it's important to get those reps to make them into a legit team. Man, let me tell you something. Rey Mysterio still got it. How old is Rey? Let's Google. How old is Rey Mysterio? He's 51? I thought it was like maybe mid 40s. He's 51 still moving like that? Hey, shout out my guy Rey. So Adam Pearce makes an appearance in this match, and if you did not know, Adam Pearce has been going basically back and forth with The Vision due to Braun Breaker's naughty behavior, to say the least. So Adam Pearce catches the good old brass knuckles that Logan Paul always uses, and he gets into a verbal spat with Paul Heyman, and Paul Heyman just ends up leaving the ring, I think. So Rey Mysterio takes advantage of this and uses the brass knuckles on Austin Theory and gives the leverage to his team to get the dub. And this would lead us to a conversation between Paul Heyman and Adam Pearce, where he would just say, you know what, bring on Braun Breaker next week. So that is what we have to look forward to on Monday. So next up on Monday Night Raw, Rhea and Rio announced their Royal Rumble entry, but they are interrupted by Judgment Day, who also announced their entry into the Royal Rumble. Liv basically insinuates that Rhea could turn on Io Sky, being that they used to be a team together and Rhea turned on her. But then Rhea says, oh no girl, you're just projecting. Basically insinuating that, well, because you are a team and you are in the Royal Rumble, it's every man for themselves. So you could be subject to the exact same thing that you're accusing me of doing. Personally, I love Rio as a tag team. I know a lot of people have some grievances with it, but to me, in my humble opinion, you cannot complain about someone being in the main championship picture all the time, and then when they move down to the tag team division or they put them down into a mid card, you complain too. Like you can't have both ways. But what I will say, what would make this really interesting and what would shake it up a little bit is if Rhea turns heel on Io. And you guys, please let me know in the comments what you think. You can correct me if I'm wrong, because I stopped watching wrestling at a certain point and I started back in 2025. So I kind of missed that like peak Judgment Day when they were together. But to my knowledge, Rhea was the one that initially turned on Liv Morgan. But it seemed like Rhea was so over with the fans and she was so likable that it didn't really translate to her being that much of a heel. The best way that I could think to describe this and the best parallel would probably be Roman Reigns. Like, to me, Roman Reigns' character screams heel, but he's so over and people love him so much that he doesn't really come across as a heel sometimes. Io to me is kind of like Tony Chopper. If you ever come across somebody that says they don't like Chopper, it's kind of like you side-eyeing them a little bit, you know what I mean? It's the same thing with Io. If you find someone that says I just genuinely don't like Io, it's like, okay, that's your opinion, but because Io is so lovable, I feel like this would be the perfect person to have Rhea turn heel on. And for the final match, the main event, the match that everyone was waiting for, CM Punk versus Finn Balor. And I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. I love me some Finn Balor, but I knew he was not winning that title. Okay, I knew it. I think that CM Punk is definitely carrying that title into Mania with him. But I love the fact that he came out with the original theme song. When I first started watching wrestling again in 2025, I was very displeased. I was very displeased with how Finn Balor was being used. And I kind of hope that he stays in that conversation heading into Mania, because no offense to the other members of the Judgment Day, as I said, I enjoy them, but we know the level of talent that Finn Balor is. Nonetheless, he had a great match with CM Punk, and I hope to see him in that circle of contenders in the future. So moving on to SmackDown. So we start off SmackDown with Sami Zayn, Trick Williams, and Damian Priest basically going at it mic on mic, and then it transfers to hands. All right, everybody just start throwing hands in the ring. But Randy Orton, like the serpent he is just chilling in the back, staying out the mix, just observing. And this is clearly building up to Saturday night's main event. So before we get into the US title open challenge between Ilya Dragunov and Melo, I just have to take this time to give Miz his flowers. I came across a clip from an interview from Insight with Chris Van Vliet and Miz, where during the interview, he talked about how he feels like he never really truly received his flowers. Ladies and gentlemen, if I had to be honest with you, I completely agree. I do think that Miz does not get enough credit. And I don't know about y'all, but in my personal opinion, Miz was one of my favorite heels. And when I say favorite, realistically, I didn't like him growing up, but as I got older, I realized just how good he was, because obviously you get told that wrestling's fake and whatever, yada yada yada. But a lot of the superstars that I hated growing up, I actually love, because I realized that they were able to pull that reaction out of me. A guaranteed Hall of Famer, one of the best mic workers. And Miz is one of those stars that you can put with anybody in any situation, in any storyline, and he's gonna deliver, and it's gonna be awesome. No pun intended. But nonetheless, the match between Ilya Dragunov and Melo was a great match. I kind of anticipated that it was going to end with an interference with The Miz, because why show him in the first place? But it was a solid match, and Melo is doing an amazing job with the US Open challenges. Next, we have a heated backstage segment between Cody Rhodes and Jacob Fatu. Now, y'all, I really think Jacob really shined in this promo. Oh, but Cody had me clutching my pearls when he brought up the jail time, because I'm not gonna lie, I was worried for my guy at first, because that can go bad in so many ways. But Cody Rhodes as a character is known for typically not hitting below the belt, taking the high road. So I love that he threw that in there. But later on in the night, we would hear from Drew McIntyre, and he doubles down on the fact that he did not attack Jacob Fatu. And I pray that this plays into the feud between Jacob and Cody Rhodes. I like Cody, but I think he can really benefit from a little bit of change. And feuding with Jacob Fatu kind of opens up that opportunity for him to be a little bit more unhinged. I understand that Cody is a babyface, so he's supposed to play up to the crowd and the people are supposed to like him. But babyfaces can have that little bit of edge to them without being full-blown heels. I think Wade Barrett said it perfectly. These are two totally different personalities. These are a clash of different personalities. So this is the perfect time for Cody's character to get a little bit uncomfortable, get into a space that his character hasn't been in before. Allow him to kind of get on Jacob's level. Well, at least meet him halfway, because Jacob is Jacob. So I was trying to figure out if I even wanted to talk about this or not, but we got a little video. I don't even want to call it a video package, literally maybe like a 2-minute video, if that, of Roman Reigns declaring his entry into the Royal Rumble. And no, Roman Reigns didn't show up. It was literally just a video of highlights of Roman Reigns. Okay, sure. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. I would have rather you have not said anything. But like, if we were gonna just show a video, like do it Marvel style, like Roman Reigns will appear at the Royal Rumble, I would have rather them not say anything and let it be a surprise. The next thing we have lined up was Jade Cargill versus Chelsea Green, with a special appearance from Jordynne Grace. And it was a Jade Cargill match. Yeah, like it was fine, you know. It was cool. It's pretty much what I expected. But I have been loving the appearances of Jordynne Grace on SmackDown, only because I know what she is capable of. I watched NXT, and after Jade picks up the dub against Chelsea Green, Jordynne Grace would declare her entry into the Royal Rumble. So as I stated before, I got back into watching wrestling at the top of 2025. So my introduction to Jordynne Grace was the Royal Rumble. And with zero context as to who this woman was or where she came from, just off of seeing her performance alone, she was one of my picks to win the Royal Rumble. So excited might be an understatement. So next we have Solo Sikoa in the MFTs versus the Wyatt Six for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. Of course you have the MFTs who basically mocked the Wyatt Six with the lantern that they took from them, the lantern that is supposed to be a symbol for the late Bray Wyatt, rest in peace. Uncle Howdy gets involved, and then Solo Sikoa takes advantage of the distraction and leverages it to not only get back the lantern, but win the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. But personally, what is keeping me from being fully invested into this story is I'm not a huge fan of the Wyatt Six, guys. I gotta be real. And don't get me wrong, every time I see Joe Gacy and I think Dexter Lumis, they can go. They put on a show and I enjoy watching them. I do think that this angle is, you know, it's getting a bit old. I think we're dragging it out a little bit. And a part of me does appreciate it because it's paying homage to Bray Wyatt and it's keeping the legacy alive. But in my opinion, Bray Wyatt was the peak of that mountain. And I'm a Street Profits fan, so yeah. Next, we have the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship #1 contenders triple threat match. Whew, Lord, that was a mouthful. But I was completely shocked by the outcome of this match because up until this point, Julia and Kiana James were basically used for filler at this point. Not saying they're not good, but just the way that they were booked. But hey, I'm not mad at unpredictability. That's what I want. But y'all know what I really want to see? I want to see a all-out tables, ladders, and chairs match for these tag team championships. One of my favorite matches of all time is the Street Profits versus the Motor City Machine Guns versus DIY in a tables, ladders, and chairs match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. I can literally talk about it all day. I want to see that for the women. The women basically carried the whole entire year last year. Can you imagine what it would be like if we got a tables, ladders, and chairs match with all of these tag teams? It would be gold. And then of course we have Drew McIntyre go crazy on the mic per usual. And basically he's addressing everybody gunning for his title, everybody that's going to be in the Fatal 4-Way, and of course Jacob and Cody as well. But one of the highlights that I picked up from Drew's promo was something that he said to Sami Zayn, and this is crazy. So Drew McIntyre references how Sami Zayn is always concerned about letting his son down or whatever. And so he says this, and I quote, "I want you to know your son has been disappointed in you for a long time. From the moment he was born and opened his eyes to see that Sami Zayn was his dad." Wild. Yeah, Sammy had more than enough reason to pimp slap that guy. I ain't gonna lie, I love me some Drew, but you had it coming, buddy. That's crazy. And then we get to the main event, the last match of SmackDown, which would be Trick Williams versus Damian Priest. And with everything that has happened on SmackDown, you had to anticipate that Sami Zayn was gonna get involved in some way, shape, or form. And Trick Williams ends up getting the dub due to an interference with Sami Zayn. Obviously, Damian Priest ain't going for that, so Damian Priest attacks Sami Zayn, but then Trick had to show Damian that he's 6'5", 250 pounds with the lemon pepper steppers, and he hit him with the trick shot. Then Randy whooped that Trick into an RKO. So this week was really just a build up to Saturday night's main event and really building up to the Royal Rumble. I anticipate that this upcoming week will be even crazier. And if you guys enjoyed the vid, please let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. This has been your girl Andra with the Monday Night Raw, Friday Night Smackdown Rewind from bell to bell in the squared circle. I'll see you guys next time.